Great. This is showing that we're live on YouTube. Also seeing an alert that we're live on Facebook. So we'll just take a couple minutes for this to alert people and they can hop on with us. I'll also check on my end and make sure everything looks good.
Okay.
Okay, great. I am starting to see some people are hopping on with us in an effort to keep on time with our schedule. I'll go ahead and start kicking off our broadcast. I am Juliette Abdel, the Chamber President and CEO here in Westminster, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our broadcast. You can find many of these videos in the video section available for replay, for commenting and engaging on previous speakers or topics that we may have. Of course, if you are a first-time attendee onto our page, then I hope that if you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe to that page. And if you're here on Facebook with us, that you are liking the page and following it for future updates when we go live or post information out to the public. Now, we host these broadcasts, I'm going to say between 1 to 3 times a week. Generally, it averages about 2 times a week between updates from our city, welcoming some of our partners on the broadcast so you get to see their face. And then every now and then we sprinkle in some resource type broadcasts that we really want you to be aware of. So over the last couple of weeks, we've hosted a few of our candidate forums virtually. For those of you that have been unable to come out in person, you can go back and get a chance to learn more about our county candidates, some of our state candidates that are seeking office here in November. Ballots are already dropped, so you should be getting them in the mailbox between the next few days. And if you don't, then go over to our Meet the Candidates page where it says how you can find those ballots and where you can go and get your hands on them. With that, I want to give you some basic housekeeping rules. So if you are viewing this, then I hope that you hit the share button on this video so others in your network can also see that we're live, can kind of stop what they're doing and come to join us or mentally flag it to come back at a later point. There is a comment feature on this video. The comment section is where we pull any additional questions that we want to ask of our guests. It's also where we pull any comments or good morning pleasantries that may show up on our end. So I do know that one of our past board chairman, Brian Head's with us. Thank you, Brian, for tuning in. Brian's given a nice good morning message to both myself and Teresa. And this broadcast today, I'm very excited to have Teresa. The last time I was with her, it feels like it was recent, but I know it was several months back. This year's going by so fast. Teresa, thank you so much for finding the time to be on here with me.
Oh, thanks for having me, Juliette. Happy to be here.
Of course. I also see Parker Brown on here with us. Thank you, Parker, for the good morning notes. And as I shared, Teresa is our guest for the broadcast today. This is a network welcome, and we're really talking about her business, Intelligent Office, that's here in Westminster. And I always like to give our guests a chance to kind of share a little bit about the business. So if you don't know who they are or not familiar with what they offer, then now is the time to kind of dial up the volume and listen in as Teresa gives us everything that they do.
Thank you.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about some of the services that you're offering for either tenants or prospective businesses that want to work with you.
Sure. Well, we have dedicated offices for people who need short-term leases, private workspace, somewhere where they can meet their clients or just even get away from home and get the work done in a quiet environment. We have meeting rooms that you can rent by the hour. Those are for anyone. Our members, our current clients, or people just off of our website can book and pay for a room and come in and use it during our business hours. We have some co-working stations also available out in the open area if you're just looking for a very inexpensive way to kind of plug and play for the day, or you can rent those by the hour, or I'm sorry, by the day, or by the month, with a little more commitment. We have a virtual address. This is very popular for people with home businesses or people that need a Google listing, and they can get their mail and packages received here at the office. And probably our, I don't want to say a best kept secret, but our service that not many people know about is our phone answering service. And we have several assistants that answer phones for many businesses that most of which don't even reside here in our office space. And it's been a huge hit with these businesses because they can actually have a receptionist, a live answer, which, that was years ago. We went away from that. Now we're back to that again. A live answer. We can schedule their appointments. We can answer questions, FAQs for on their services. And it is actually one of the best received services that we provide right now, and extremely affordable for a small or startup business.
Yeah, that is, so thank you so much for going over everything that you offer. I know that was a lot in such a small amount of time. And if it's okay, what I'd like to do is unpack some of these, and then I'd love for folks to get to kind of know you personally and why you started this to begin with and all that good stuff. We shared about some of the private workspaces. You also talked about dedicated office spaces for short-term client meetings. So it sounds like a lot of this also has flexibility to it, the ability for people to rent hourly and by the day even. So it's not really a long-term commitment. If that, which is, I'm sure that's what you were designing, and how has that looked over the last couple of years, especially with COVID? Has that been used more so because people have kind of scaled back on their physical spaces?
Yes and no. So we did have some people who had to vacate larger spaces, downsizing their business during COVID, or just making that modification of I can't go to the office, or I can't afford a full-time large square footage office space, but I do need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of people working remote.
Yeah.
And probably at the beginning of COVID, people were very afraid to gather.
Sure.
We still did have people come and use the office. They felt safe enough to come in, shut the door, get their work done, and then leave. So the flexibility has been huge. And I think now we're starting to see, as COVID is kind of behind us, we're starting to see more businesses and more people looking at their office needs differently and doing shorter term things as they grow or they're transitioning into something else. It's been huge to a lot of our clients, and just to people who visit our website and say, hey, I just need a meeting room at this location today.
Yeah.
And I think it's been extremely helpful to them.
Absolutely. Well, and you've kept up with your online presence too. So I think that has played a significant role as well. Is people are not only able to learn about what some of these things are that you offer, but they see the level of your branding and just how professional it is. And so it really incentivizes them to want to go out there and use your space, even if they hadn't stepped foot in there before.
Right.
So the phone answering service, which does sound like just this miracle pill that's out there that more people should be hopping onto, right? Like what are some things that people should know? Is this more of a monthly type of subscription? Is it annual that they have to commit with you on for it?
Yeah, so we have clients that sign up. It's a monthly package. Usually we design, it's all custom. So we can design based on your call volume, how long are the calls that you're getting? Are they scheduling calls where your clients are going to keep us on the phone for a few minutes? Are we answering the phone, guiding them straight to you or to your voicemail? So they're very custom. And it's done that way on purpose because we feel like this business model we have is you're only going to pay for what you use. So if we design a phone package and we get down the road a month or two and we think, oh, this isn't really turning out the way we all thought it would, we can adjust that up or down.
Mm-hmm.
So, and typically people sign up for about anywhere from 6 to 12 months at a time. And like I said, it can be modified as we go. If a client decides, oh, you guys are doing great at this, can you also do intake forms for me or scheduling for me?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just modify things as we figure that out.
Well, I know that that is one, a lot of work on your part, but it is very beneficial for them because it's customization to what their needs are. And as you were sharing, you know, I do respect this mindset of what you use is what you pay for. And it helps them kind of be more conscious of what they're using and where their dollars are going toward. So did you just one day wake up and you're like, okay, this is, I want to start this office, you know, this office set up, and part of it's going to be co-working, part of it's going to be the service for startup, or where did this idea come to you from?
Well, my husband and I had talked about doing something additional that we wanted to build something that would allow us to work as we go into our retirement years. And you know, I think it's about 5 years ago, we actually came across this franchise, and Intelligent Office is a franchise. And there's good things to that because they have the power to build good websites and to help you with the marketing and the technology, which I don't claim to be an expert at either of those. So when we came across this one, as we were investigating it, we've both been in business our whole careers, and we could see the benefit that it provided to the small business. And I've always worked for a small business and outside of Intelligent Office, and I could see the benefits immediately to people who were starting up or people who had an idea, but they just needed either our phone service or a place to work or a place to meet, a professional place to meet with clients, so that they weren't meeting at Starbucks or you know, in a parking lot somewhere or at their house even. So
Yeah. And you, that's actually, your heart is in the right place with that, especially after you work with a small business. You really want to help them out when they're getting started, because you're right. A lot of them, they're just trying to get going, and, you know, overhead is generally the biggest thing that they try and reduce when they're going with it. But at the same time, it kind of compromises their ability to connect with people when they're using their home address or when it is a PO box. You know, I know when we generally have some members that are working from home and they don't necessarily want, you know, a facade or anything like that, it makes it a little bit more, I go back and I always say, well, at least get like a PO box, or at least get something that we can have listed on there, because what you don't want is for somebody to drive up to your business place and then kind of be hanging out there in front of your driveway. Some businesses, it makes sense, right? Like some in-house photography studios or alterations or any of those types of companies that may have the setup for it. But for most of the other ones, it can be discouraging for a customer to want to kind of go in and legitimately do business with them. So I love that you're trying to fill that. Are you originally, and you mentioned that you've been working with small businesses, you and your husband, for several years now. Are you originally from Colorado, or you are? Okay.
Yeah, we're both natives. Yeah, we're both natives, and we've kind of grew up in the Thornton, North Glen area, so very close to where we are located. And this is kind of our stomping grounds. And so when we picked this location, we wanted something close to where we live so that we could be here and not have to drive 30-40 minutes away. And we also saw the need just right off 120th. We thought, wow, there's a lot of small businesses in this area that could use our help. So this is kind of why we picked Westminster, and we like Westminster. We think it's a good location. There's a lot around here on 120th. It's the main corridor here. So
it is. It's one of our busier ones, and it's so nice to hear that, you know, this is your own backyard, right? Like this is it's home to you, and that that actually probably drives a lot of the why that you're so invested in seeing these businesses succeed and take off, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you're still with another small business and you're running this, or how has that transition been for you? Are you
Well,
one of those people that kind of just says yes and you figure it out along the way?
well, the goal was to essentially be able to run this company and for a short term keep our corporate jobs. I say corporate, I work for another small company very close by, and I've been there for 20 years. And my husband works remote, so sometimes he's in the office working remote, sometimes he's at home. Depends on how busy the office is, because we don't charge him rent, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, but it's the goal is that our other jobs we'd like to retire from and just I'm here a couple days a week usually, Friday afternoons and then maybe another day. But I have a great team that are physically located here in the office, and they kind of run the day-to-day stuff, and I keep my eyes on things and help with the back office for this business as well. So
Yeah. So you are continuing to just do a lot of, it sounds like a lot of
yeah,
the work of
sometimes I
both.
feel a little spread thin. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I bet. Geez. And how long has Intelligence, the office that you all own that franchise for? How long have you been in Westminster? Was this the first location that you opened when you took over the franchise for here or for this market? Or is this a secondary one that that you opened up?
Well, this is the first one, and we opened about 4.5 years ago.
Mhm.
So, a couple of years before COVID hit. So we
Mhm.
had really kind of gotten, a good cadence going with building our business. And then we kind of, leveled off as most people did
Right.
last couple of years, but things have picked up significantly
Mhm.
um, this year, which is great.
Yeah.
And I mean, our goal at the beginning was to open this one and in about 5 years open another one.
Mhm.
So we're probably a little behind the time on that.
Mm.
It's just taken so much. COVID took a lot out of our growth plans, but
Mhm.
we still have our eyes on some other sites. We'll see how that turns out as time goes on.
Yeah, and it's this after COVID, it was really, and I say this to everyone, I even say it about us, we hit different goals. And that was, you hit different goals and kind of have grace on the things that you really wanted to get done, still get done in a different timing and a different manner. But even just surviving and then growing past that, as you all have been doing, is quite impressive because there were a lot of people that were not able to adapt, were not able to hold on, and we're still seeing some of that effect as well in some of that market. So I know it's not where you were expecting, but
Right.
it's still a success in itself
It is.
to have overcome all of that for sure. Yeah. So 4.5 years, which is awesome. Are you going to do anything for your 5 year?
I don't know. I mean, we might have to do a little something.
Yeah.
We might have to. We probably actually should start thinking about it soon because it's
Right.
about 6 months away. So yeah,
Yeah. And nowadays 6 months means like a day
yeah, it's in
because
the blink of an eye.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
You blink and then it's like, what just happened? Like,
Right.
summer passed, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's been crazy. So I would like to, if you're comfortable with it, is kind of move into some ideas or maybe myths or random things about co-working or office spaces, and see kind of what your thoughts are about them. This may answer a question for some folks that are considering going into a space or looking at a space and just trying to address any concerns that they might have. But this thought, and you can tell me if this is a true thought or not, and that's that co working spaces are all about collaboration and community. Do you have that feeling and that sense that that is what has been created in the intelligent space? Or are you focused on a different type of environment and atmosphere?
Oh, it is really interesting. When we opened, co-working was kind of the hot term
Mhm.
at that
Yeah.
time. We were one of the very first intelligent office franchises to actually build out a co-working space. They've always previously been about private space.
Mhm.
What I'm finding, Juliet, is that people don't want to really work out in the open.
Yeah.
When they come and ask for space, they want a private, a small office, private office,
Mhm.
something I can sit, shut my door, and get my work done. I don't want to hear everyone else's conversations, um, or be out in the open. And
Mhm.
so it really was interesting. If we had to do it all over again, I think I
Yeah.
would do very few co-working spaces.
Okay.
And just, the co-working is the shared open
Mhm.
environment, um, versus the private office.
Right, absolutely. And do you so and that's a you actually led into another thought that's out there, and that co-working spaces or some of those spaces don't necessarily offer privacy. But what it sounds like, and because you actually explained it so thoroughly at the start of everything that you all offer, it's not just co-working for one to begin with, and
Right.
then the second component is that private office. So I think you debunk that with even some of the things that you're sharing. But do you feel like this would hold true in a more traditional setup, or
Yeah, the co-working doesn't really offer privacy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't. It's, if you just need a place to sit, like I said, it's not a coffee shop. You can sit and you can get some work done without, strangers looking over your shoulder. We do allow that here and it does work, but
Mhm.
you can't really have private conversations. Um, it is kind of out in the open.
Mhm.
So there are people do walk by, do they read your stuff? Depends on where you sit kind of thing. But I think, like I said, if we had to do it all over again, we would minimize that. It's
Yeah.
just, I just don't think it's that popular anymore.
Absolutely. Do you think that it's also some has to do with the market at all? Like in a bigger city, for example,
You could.
would that be more of the environment that those types of people they're used to being around such a louder, they want that
Right.
overstimulated kind of environment. I would imagine that that's a part of it.
It very well could be. I mean, I consider us more in the urban,
Mhm.
you know, community. And like I said, most of our inquiries are for private.
Yeah.
They don't want to be out in the open. They want to leave their stuff in their office. And so we do get some drop in.
Mhm.
We've got we're networked with a few other people, and we'll get drop in people that just come in for the day. They come in and then they leave, and we may or may never see them again,
Yeah.
but it's all good. If
Yeah.
they needed a
Those are
place to
still
stay
good
for the
people.
day.
Yeah, you still want those people for sure,
Right,
especially
right.
if they're coming in for a little bit, and who knows, they may come back, or they likely know other people also that are either meeting with them or just are also doing business that could benefit as well. What would you say if I were to capture kind of what would be a couple of the key benefits to the space that you offer, the value benefits to folks? I would quickly highlight, I know that you have flexibility with some of these terms that you are referencing. You also have a variety of either monthly or annual fees, that kind of packages that they can choose from. But what else would you feel maybe like a key advantage that sets you apart from some of these other either office spaces or quasi office slash co-working private space?
Sure. What we do to some of our clients, we do offer 24/7 access to the space. So then that gives them even greater flexibility. But I think the key advantage to our office and our setup is that we have receptionists at the front desk. So if you're not going to be here, but you're expecting someone to drop something off, or leave you some documents, or have Amazon drop off your packages, we are here to accept them, to sign for documents, to do some of those things that a lot of those other locations and co-working slash executive office space, they don't really have people, they don't have anyone manning the front. So you got people running around who may or may not belong there. So I think the safety and security, that our office brings with, there's a gatekeeper, they're at the front, they're going to stop anybody from just coming down the hall and finding me. And even some of our clients who are virtual, they may have our address, and maybe one of their clients or a prospective client shows up at our office.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have an office here. But the way we address that is, I'm sorry, but they only take appointments. They're here by appointment only. So if you'd like to get in touch with them and schedule an appointment, or we can help them. But we don't say, oh, well, they don't have an office here. We're just, they just do a mailbox. We don't say, we're very professional on how we address that situation.
And that matters. Yeah, that matters a tremendous amount. And so I'd love that you and you carry this not only through yourself, but your team members, because I've been in your space. So I've overheard, I've seen kind of the way that they're doing things. They really do take that also. It has trickled to them and their approach when they're dealing with some of these rentals or tenants that you have as well.
Right.
I told you that today was going to go by so incredibly fast. We are already just 4 minutes out of closing this. And so I know
that was fast.
It goes by so fast. And I feel like I don't even get, I ask some things and I'm like, oh, there's still more that I feel like I can always be on here a little bit longer. But for folks that may want to find you, what is your address that we can share with them?
Sure. Our physical address is 1499 West 120th Avenue.
Okay.
And we're in Suite 110 on the main floor.
Excellent. And I know you have a phone answering service. Do you all have a direct line if people are trying to reach your team?
Sure. It's 720-274-7300.
Excellent. And while I'm pulling that up on the screen, and it is directly into the chat section for folks that are tuned in now and later, was there anything I didn't get a chance to ask you, or something that you were really hoping to get across today that we maybe didn't have a chance to touch on?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. Like I said, the phone service is probably our, I told you to go dark.
Yes.
You almost made it. Our phone service is probably our best value service that we offer here. And our team members are all very local, and we answer the phone here. We are not a call center. And that's, I think, the myth around all of that is that people think that someone in another state or country will answer their phones, but we are local here. So we know the area. We, are familiar with Colorado, with Westminster. And
yeah, you are, for sure. Well, I think that's a huge advantage. I thank you so much for being on here with me. Here's a quick flash of your website that I've also included in the comment section for folks as well. If you're tuned in this morning, afternoon, or evening, this weekend, whenever you end up watching this broadcast, I want to thank you for taking the time to view it, learn more about a local business, and learn ways that you can either do business with them or maybe support someone else that may need their products or services. Of course, if you didn't get a chance to ask us any questions, or you maybe had a question that was more customized to your individual needs, you can always call them or DM the page, and we're happy to get that information to them and get you an answer. Again, I was with Teresa today from Intelligent Office here in Westminster, located right off 120th, one of our newer partners in the chamber that we are so very excited to have here. They are at 4.5 years, almost 5 years, and have continued that steady growth. And we are just so excited to not only partner with them, but be a part of their process as they continue to not only grow, but expand hopefully into future markets as well. We will be back on here with another broadcast this Friday. We've changed the time up on you. It is at 9 a.m. Friday's broadcast will be with our lobbyist, Jeff Wiest. He's for the Chamber and JCBL as well, and will be giving us an overview on ballot questions that are you will have received by now, hopefully over the next few days. So if you're interested in getting more of an in-depth understanding about that, asking particular questions, especially from our business lens, you can hop onto the broadcast at 9 a.m. on Friday. It's available now for you to hit the get reminder button and save it to your calendars. Teresa, thank you again for being on here with me. I do hope that the rest of your morning and day goes so smoothly, and I can't wait for the opportunity to sit down together and hear how you've been, but also see where you guys are headed.
Great. Thanks so much, Juliet. I appreciate it.